Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you may be, or good evening or good night. This is Jen at JensArtyInclinations, a place to create, share and play. We are December 2022, day 18, hosted by Barbara at 49 Dragonflies and Luise Heinzl. Today's prompts are handmade, stencil, notepad, and the surprise animal is fish. I wanted to start out by showing you a few different ways that you can make stencils. There are loads and loads of ways that you can make stencils. The first thing is check out your packaging. This was something that I bought some oils, I think it was, in. You can just do it like that with your little sponge. Just doing it with inks because that is an easy way to do it. So that gives you an idea. See, you get your stencil on your page. Another way, oops. Things are falling over everywhere. Another way is you can obviously cut out shapes or use your knife to cut shapes out. But here I'm just going to cut out a simple heart. This brown paper's from a shopping bag, so it's a little bit stronger. All right, that's sort of a heart. And so again, you can just see. Easy, quick stencil. Another way I had a go last night at doing these is actually doing masking tape and cardboard or stuff like that. You can make some pretty simple, quick stencils. So here I had a go, we don't know if this is going to work yet, but here I had a go at cutting out this. So I'll show you, I've got a few photos that I literally cut the middle out. Then I cut the strips just on a normal trimmer, and then I laid them across in a pattern, and I laid the others in a pattern, and the strips that I cut here, the up and down ones, they're the same as the masking tape going across. So it's sort of like a semi-gingham style pattern. So we'll see if that works, eh? What colour will we try for that? Let's try orange. So we'll see if this works, folks. Oh yeah, seems to work. So there you go. Now I've got that kind of pattern, and we'll have a little look at this one that I just did with some of the offcuts. So again, we'll use the red on this. Voila. So you've got a couple of patterns that are just from straight strips, which is a really easy way to do a stencil, especially if you're doing a background. You know, this method might be to cut out something. So that would easily, for today's prompt, cut out a fish, see? Now, the other thing that you can do, on my brother's scan and cut, I cut out some circles. So then that would make a cool background. So I'm thinking that might be handy for the notepad today. And then these are also cut out from my brother. Oh, but before I show you that, your punches. So here I've got a circle punch. They can make pretty cool little stencils as well. So you don't have to have the whole circle every time. There you go, and that could be a stencil in itself. So that's another way you can use, you know, if you've got different shaped hole punches, really easy way to make a quick stencil. And then I was cutting out, I may not use these today because it's fish, but I was cutting out some stencils, some, what do you call them? Die cuts. And of course, on your die cutting machine, the ones that you roll through, I often keep what I cut out so that I can use the inside of that for a stencil. So you can see that one's some feathers, this is some leaves, and then I get a bit of a pattern going with those. Last night I was cutting out these. So I thought those could make a good stencil for today. I also did these ones. It's 1, 2, 3, and I thought maybe at the bottom of a notepad, those could be cool. And I have these little flowers that I thought along the bottom of a notepad, that might be cool. So I'll keep those in the pile that I'll probably use today. And here are some shells. So I think they might be perfect for today. And I kept the insides of these because I thought I could do it like this. And obviously anything you cut out can be a relief stencil so that you can get the shape coming out instead of colouring in the shape. But I kept those because I thought what I could do is, I'll show you, do it like a 2-layered. I was thinking something like this, you know, up the side of a page. I did that top one a bit dark, but that's okay. Then taking those out, just going over the top, and you will get a bit of a layered effect. So that's something else that you can play with. So we might play with that today. So there you go. That's just a few ideas on the different kinds of stencils you can do. So let's get cracking on today's notepad. These are some of my eco dyed papers. I might use them. Alrighty, did you enjoy my quiet voice? I was trying to sneak it in just to do a chat craft with me before everybody woke up. Unfortunately, I obviously woke them up anyway. Anyhow, what I did first was I did a few test pieces just on more of those scraps of paper. And then I did like that shadow that I was doing with the little, it looks like a shark, didn't it? The fish, but with the fish and the seashells. However, I thought, that's going to take too long. Let's just spray and splatter. So that's exactly what I did. I have that just rectangle cardboard piece just to give you a blank space in the middle, and then the little shells on the bottom. And you can see I actually ended up taping them in a row, and yeah, pretty cute. I did some quite light, and then I got darker and darker as I went along. And actually, I really, really like how grungy it turned out. So yeah, a bit cool. Anyhow, here I thought, well, I haven't used my dots yet. I've got to use my dots. And I wanted to use this kind of flower thing. It looks like a bit of, you know, underground seaweedy sort of thing to me, even though it's, you know, probably a chrysanthemum or something like that. However, decided that I'd throw that in too, and I'm doing this on the actual piece of backing card that I'm putting just on the back of the notepad. So played about, knew I was going to decorate that little flap. I didn't want a full front, I just wanted a little partial flap over. So now I'm just having a look at the different papers, playing a bit with what order they'll go in, and making sure that they still fit in my piece of card that I cut. And obviously I want to make sure that they're nice and flush at the top. Now, I thought of so many different ways to bind this. I was going to gum glue it, but then I thought, I only really know one way to do that, and this is too thin for that. So then I thought, I'll just do a simple tie with a hole punch and tie a bit of string. And then actually I went, you know what, the quickest thing will be just to sew this across. So that is exactly what I did. Just snipping the sides. I don't mind a little bit of the thread left on. In fact, I quite like a little bit of the thread left on. So now I'm thinking, all right, so how is this little fish on the top going to look? There he is. So that's the beautiful fish that was the freebie that Barbara and Luise gave us. I'm just rounding the corners and then I ink around the edges, but I'm only rounding the corners on the backing paper and just doing the edges on the backing paper. So, you know, that's just to give that little cover a bit of a finished kind of semi-professional, if you really squint your eyes, feel. Now, when I was putting it down, even though it's only about, 6 or 7 pages, I still felt that it would be better if it just had a double score line there. So I'm putting an extra score line really, really slightly above the first, and then that way it just gives it like a little matchbox fold. It just gives it a little bit of extra room to fold right over the pages and sit really nicely. And once it flattens itself in the book for a few days, it should sit beautifully and flat. Or I could put it underweight, you know, one or the other. So yeah, one little fold score line and then redoing the other one. And then if you have a little look at the end here, You can just see it's got that little flat edge on the top, but not so thick that it would be too thick in my journal, which is pretty funny to say, actually, because, man, my big journal, I thought, oh, I'll do a big one because, you know, then I'll have loads of room. But no, she's still a gator mouth, and, you know, we're almost finished. We're over the halfway mark. However, not much room for the rest in it. Anyhow, here I'm just doing little fishy, giving him a little ink, and then I didn't like him just on the back, and all those pieces of paper that I was splotching up the ink with and using them as the backing, so paper towels and tissues, I ended up using that to go behind the fish, and wow, it looks so cool. I could never have created that, not even as, you know, a background. That's just a really, really, really happy accident. You can't completely see it, but I love the grain that's in the paper towel there. So then I had to stitch it with some waves because I thought that would be cool, and it just added something. Gosh, it looks like I planned it from the beginning, which, as you know, I didn't, because I'll never do that. Anyhow, here we are, one finished little notebook. I think it's really cute, quite different to what I'd normally do. I like that little just, the little third way, that the flap, third way down. Oh, goodness. What am I trying to say? You know what I mean? That little flap, how it's not the whole page. I like that. And I'll just give you a look through the little individual pages. So you can see they all came out nice and differently. So they're all individual. Gosh, wouldn't things like this make such cute Christmas gifts? You know, for other people that you've personally stenciled. You'd have so much fun creating, and then you'd have all the fun of giving as well. So there you are. One little notebook, just going back through again, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Take care. I'd love it if you could leave me a comment below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed what you saw today. And of course, please subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you next time. And in the meantime, keep creating. Enjoy.